Today, we are diving into one of Nigeria's most uncomfortable truths. And this time is not coming from outsiders, southerners, or critics abroad. It's coming from within. From a Hausa man born and raised in Kano State, now living in the United States, who has decided to speak plainly about the crisis engulfing his homeland. He asks the painful but necessary question: why is northern Nigeria, rich in population, land, and political power, still the country's most underdeveloped region? And deeper still, has the North, through decades of misrule and resistance to progress, dragged the rest of Nigeria backwards? Before we go any further, let's hear from the man himself.
So the hardest thing I've had to accept since I've been here is that Hausas, my tribe, my people, unfortunately are not going to allow Nigeria to become what it's meant to be. The mindset of the northern Nigerians are going to destroy this country. I'm sorry to say it. So this is an idea I had, right? It was very simple. Raise money, build orphanages, massive orphanages, and pick up the Almajiris off the street. Take the Almajiris off the street. Teach them engineering. Teach them tech. Teach them coding. Take them off the streets and teach them, try to get them up to par so they can compete. And I brought up how every time I had this conversation, I would bring up the 4 Indian kids, the 4 Indian boys, like 10-year-old boys that were online. They were doing the live chat and building an app. Every time I bring up this idea to a northerner, the first thing they ask is, well, what about Islam? What about Qur'ani? What about Islamic school? When I say I have met incredible resistance to the idea of taking these boys off the streets and getting them to join the global age. Like, my mindset is this: every corner you go in northern Nigeria, there are 5 people willing to teach these boys Islamic school, Quran. There are 10 people willing to teach them everything they need to learn about Islam. Why isn't there anyone willing to teach them anything else? So when I brought that up, some people were like, I had people going, it will never happen unless I have to teach them Islamic curriculum in the schools. I said, you don't understand. Northern Nigerians are against the idea of changing the trajectory and the outcomes of Almajiris. They say Almajiranchi, which is what it is embedded in our culture. And here's the thing, no, it's not. And as a Muslim, it's haram. I fucking said it. Any northern Nigerian that wants to step the fuck up, do it. It is haram. Because you are not allowed to bring a child into this world that you cannot raise. And there are fuck ton of Hausa men and women who have babies with no intention of, they know they will only take care of that child to a certain age, then they'll pawn that child off. There are a fuck ton of imams, men in the north, who rely on these kids for a living. They send these boys out every day to go earn a living to come back and give them. I thought of an idea that, look, we need to find a way to raise money, build orphanages, teach these boys tech, teach them engineering, teach them robotics, let them compete with the global populace. And every time I bring this up, every fucking Hausa person I tell this shit to wants to argue with me. They say it's not going to. They are vehemently against this. So I need you to understand, I need to ask you, how will Nigeria as a fucking country compete with the likes of Ghana, South Africa, Malaysia, Singapore, Indonesia, when the northern Nigeria is part of Nigeria? The most fucked up thing I'm going to have to say as a Hausa man is, for Nigeria to advance, they have to get rid of Hausa. They have to get the north Nigeria, it can never work. This is a sad realization that it can never work. Like, this is insane. And I am Hausa. This is fucking crazy. Wait, let me show you something. Right here, this is attestation of citizenship from New York. As you can see, I am from Shanono local Gwamang in Kano State. I am as fucking northern Hausa as it fucking gets. I am as Aboki as it could possibly fucking get. And I am saying, Nigeria, to win, to compete on the global stage, Nigeria will have to get rid of the North. It will not happen with my people are actively holding this country back. It is so fucking insane.
Now that you've heard it straight from the source, we need to unpack what it means. Northern Nigeria has controlled the center of power for most of Nigeria's post-independence history. Military dictators, civilian presidents, Senate presidents, federal ministers. The North has held more leadership positions than any other region. But what has that power delivered? The highest levels of poverty in the country, over 10 million out-of-school children, the majority from the North, widespread illiteracy, and the continued failure of the education system. The Almajiri system, still producing street children with no future. Rampant insecurity, from Boko Haram to banditry to kidnappings. It's a devastating irony. The region that governs Nigeria the most has developed the least. So we must ask, what are northern leaders really doing with all that power? Why are public institutions still crumbling while their children attend private schools abroad? Why is the North still resisting the same reforms that have lifted other parts of the country? It's not just misgovernance, it's also mindset. Northern elites have weaponized religion and tradition to maintain control over the masses. They defend early marriage, resist gender equality, and oppose secular education, all in the name of culture. Meanwhile, they enjoy the benefits of modernity behind closed doors. When the rest of Nigeria demands progress, restructuring, police reform, child rights, and education reform, the loudest resistance often comes from northern power brokers. So we ask again, why do they reject the very tools that could free their people? How long can any society survive when truth is labeled rebellion and ignorance is called tradition? As the Hausa man in the clip said clearly, we northerners have failed Nigeria. Until we fix our region, the country will not move forward. Now, to be fair, Nigeria's problems aren't exclusive to the north. Corruption, nepotism, and elite failure exist across the board. But here's the difference. The north has held the reins of power more than any other region. And with that power comes greater responsibility. And let's be clear, this is not about everyday northerners. The farmers, teachers, traders, and students who suffer from the same failed systems. This is about the elites, the decision makers, and the gatekeepers who have refused to modernize their own region, and in doing so, have slowed Nigeria's collective progress. Nigeria is at a crossroads, and no matter how uncomfortable it is, we must say it. Nigeria cannot move forward while one region actively resists forward movement. The North must reform politically, economically, and culturally. It must stop hiding behind religion and start investing in knowledge, health, women, and youth. It must produce leaders who want progress, not power. And it must do this not for the South, but for itself, because the rest of Nigeria is watching, waiting, suffering the consequences of a broken balance. The time for excuses is over. The time for reflection and real change is now. And if the truth makes you uncomfortable, maybe it's time to change the truth.